Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 13th and tonight's movie is Howard's Mill. This is a 2021 found footage horror movie about a man whose wife just vanishes into thin air. It occurs to me that I kind of just summarized the plot of The Vanishing, but in this one there seems to be a supernatural edge to it. Apparently the location where she went missing, a place called Howard's Mill, has had people disappear there in the past. So it's this man looking for his wife, not just to find her, but also to clear his name because he's kind of the number one suspect. The trailer made it seem like there was going to be supernatural elements in it, but it also was unclear what those elements would be. At some point they seemed more like aliens, at some point they seemed more like folklore or ghosts or something like that. The documentary style of this movie kind of reminds me of Savage Land from last year. But hopefully in this movie we'll see more action than what we can get through blurry black and white pictures. I'm gonna give it a watch. That was certainly interesting. I'm gonna give Howard's Mill an 8 out of 10. It was very well made and had a pretty interesting premise. To begin with though, I wouldn't call this a horror movie, it's more of a mystery. Though it is a pretty cool mystery. The movie is quite a bit like Savage Land in the fact that you have this event that doesn't make sense and you're trying to piece together what happened. It's not just this character, Dwight, his wife. It's not just her that disappeared at this location. There are, I think, 4 other instances of people disappearing or reported to have disappeared at that location. The main character in the documentary crew is this young woman. Apparently her first name is Kaiser. I've never heard of such a thing, but okay. There's also the cameraman who, like a lot of cameramen in found footage movies, is barely a character. The acting in this movie isn't great. I mean, it's not bad per se, but it's nothing special. There are so many people who got interviewed in this documentary, and I feel like a lot of them were just people that they walked up and said, hey, do you want to be in a movie? But the main characters, they're solid enough. My favorite actor in the movie was the person who played the missing woman, Emily. We didn't see much of her, but she was able to leave a good impression for the screen time that she got. She was very likable. One thing that's funny bad, but still bad about this movie is a lot of times they will edit in that dramatic sting that almost just seems comedic at this point since it's so overused. It was dun! It immediately took me out of the experience every time it happened, and that was kind of a problem because it was supposed to happen at the really dramatic parts. I mean, this is supposed to be a documentary, not what Shane Dawson thinks a documentary is. The best part about Howard's Mill is this mystery and watching it unfold and get more and more complex as they go. They say at the beginning this is supposed to be a 1-day shoot, but it turned into, I'm pretty sure, weeks and months. The mystery does get, quote-unquote, solved. I mean, there was a theory presented that would explain most of it, but there's a lot of loose ends left. There's a lot of unanswered questions. And in a movie like this, that works. And also, kind of unexpected, this movie ended on a hopeful note. So yeah, overall, pretty good. Definitely the best found footage movie of this year's Horror Nights so far, but that wasn't difficult considering that the other two were UFO Abduction and Frankenstein's Army. And now let's go into some spoilers. Throughout the movie, you hear about a few other disappearances that take place at Howard's Mill, and I have no idea why it's called Howard's Mill. It's not a mill, it's a farm. They all seem to have the, central thing of someone just sinking into the ground and disappearing instantly. In fact, Emily took a video of herself for some reason. That one seemed kind of contrived, but whatever. She was taking a video of herself with her phone after she found something in the area, and the video seemed to end with her, falling over, but they never talked about that in the movie, so maybe that was just me imagining it. There were 2 other events I want to talk about in particular. One was a little girl disappearing in 1994, I think it was. And the other was this whole guy's family disappearing in the 70s. And you see both of them present day. And the dad of the girl who disappeared is just a frickin' wreck. He's an alcoholic. His wife must have left him. She's not there anymore. And the guy whose whole family was swallowed up by the earth in front of him seems to be doing fine. So, kind of weird. There's also a little girl who appeared at Howard's Mill at one point. claiming that she was Glynis Howard, even though the Howard family had no children. More and more things pile up about strange events at this location, but I think the point where it starts to get really weird is they discover that there's like a cave system on the property, and all the disappearance locations seem to form a straight line between the cave and the house. There's a pond at the location, which is actually at the place where that little girl disappeared, and the pond was put there later when a sinkhole formed. And divers, they got divers for this. I don't know who hired them, whether it was Dwight or the college students making this documentary or whatever, but they find that little girl's dead body, and forensics say that she drowned and that she died at age 10, even though that pond didn't exist when she was 10 years old. So now it feels like there's this weird, like, rift in time at this location. There was another time discrepancy in that found little girl, Glynis Howard, in her story. Like, she was way too young to be the real Glynis Howard. And in the two concrete examples they find of someone disappearing and then appearing dead, it's always a 10-year gap. So there's like a bare theory that all of this might be connected, but it doesn't add up. There are things that contradict it. There are things that don't make sense. And they acknowledge that at the end of the documentary, but they're like, come on, like there's something going on here. And the movie ends with a few of the things being wrapped up, like the little girl disappearing because her body was found. But the main character, Dwight, his wife, never was found. And they ask him what he's going to do, and he said, I'm going to keep looking for her, and even if I never find her, I will go back to this exact spot 10 years from now. And that's what they ended the movie on. And they played a song that they played earlier in the movie over a montage of them being happy together. This was a good movie. It wasn't spectacular, but for what it is pretty good. There are problems with it. The editing at some points just don't really make sense to me. But overall, there were way more positives than there were negatives to me. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.